Wake Up America Part 3. 25 Years of Failure. Why are taxpayers still funding this without real accountability? America, please wake the fuck up. I already discussed Part 1 and Part 2 of Wake Up America. Those discussions raised serious questions about America's child welfare system, government accountability, children, families, and the use of taxpayer dollars. Now this is Part 3. And in Part 3, I want to ask one of the biggest questions of all. Why does the money come first and accountability come later? In 2025, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, published an analysis looking back at approximately 25 years of federal child and family services reviews. The findings should shock every taxpayer. Not one state has ever passed the complete child and family services review in 25 years. Think about that. 25 years. Year after year, taxpayers have continued funding child welfare systems while states have repeatedly been placed on program improvement plans to address deficiencies. Now let's talk about California. California established its statewide child welfare accountability system after legislation enacted in 2001. California has gone through repeated federal reviews and corrective plans. California completed earlier improvement requirements and avoided certain financial penalties. But then what happened? Federal reviewers examined California again in 2023 and 2024 and once again found California not in substantial conformity in several areas. Another review. Another finding. Another improvement plan. And taxpayer money continues flowing. So I have a question for the federal government. Why does the money come first and accountability come later? Why should California receive federal child welfare funding first and then be told afterward to correct serious deficiencies? Why isn't a meaningful portion of administrative funding withheld until California independently demonstrates that identified problems have actually been corrected and that those improvements can be sustained? And Americans need to understand something else. The failures can happen in both directions. California's own state auditor reported concerns about whether county child welfare agencies were adequately ensuring that decisions to remove or not remove children were appropriate. That means we need to ask difficult questions about families who may experience unnecessary government intervention, inaccurate information, inadequate assessments, or decisions unsupported by sufficient evidence. If evidence establishes that an official intentionally falsified information in an individual case, that should be investigated and the responsible person should be held accountable. We cannot simply label every bad decision as fraud without evidence, but allegations of deliberate falsification should never be ignored. At the same time, there are children who genuinely need protection, and government agencies have failed there too. A California state auditor report concerning Los Angeles County found that 257 children died from abuse or neglect during fiscal years 2013-14 through 2017-18, and 69 of those children had prior child welfare case histories. Read that again. Children who truly need protection cannot afford a dysfunctional system either. So what the hell are we doing? Families should not be unnecessarily torn apart. Parents should not be judged on inaccurate information. Government reports should not contain fabricated evidence. Children should not remain in genuinely dangerous situations because an investigation was inadequate or delayed. And taxpayers should not be expected to write a fucking blank check while the government keeps producing another report, another corrective plan, another deadline, and another promise that things will improve. Enough is enough. This isn't free money. This is our tax money. Whether you have children or not, you should care. You work. You pay taxes. Your money funds government agencies. You therefore have every right to ask whether those agencies are doing their damn jobs. I am not demanding that government take food, housing, medical care, foster care maintenance, or necessary services away from children. Protect the money that directly helps children and families. But administrative funding and government operations should come with serious accountability. If an agency repeatedly fails federal standards, why should taxpayers continue paying the same way without independently verified and sustained correction? If government officials know about deficiencies, why should another improvement plan automatically be considered enough? And if the same serious problems appear years later, we should ask whether the accountability system itself is fucking broken. The United States Congress needs to answer. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, needs to answer. California needs to answer. County child welfare agencies need to answer. And taxpayers need to start asking questions. How much money have we spent? What did taxpayers actually get for that money? How many problems identified years ago remain problems today? How many families were unnecessarily harmed? How many children who genuinely needed protection were failed? And most importantly, why the fuck are we still accepting this? I already raised the issues in part 1. I continue the discussion in part 2. Now part 3 is about following the fucking money and demanding accountability. 25 years is enough time to demand answers. Stop treating another corrective plan as the end of the conversation. Stop confusing paperwork with accountability. Stop accepting repeated government failures as normal. America, please wake the fuck up. Demand evidence. Demand transparency. Demand independent oversight. Demand accountability for taxpayer money. Demand protection for children who truly need it. And demand due process for families. Our children deserve better. Our families deserve better. And after 25 years, American taxpayers deserve some fucking answers. Wake up, America. Child welfare reform, CPS reform, California government accountability, #taxpayer accountability, family preservation, due process, protect children.